in all of my 3 NDEs, I never felt the trauma my body went through. It was really an opening into the angelic realm and the help and love that's available for all of us. And Jesus came in very much as my best friend. And next to my grandma was a 12-foot angel. I'm looking over, and my beautiful 102-pound white German Shepherd, who had passed away a couple years before, looked at me and smiled like she always did. And then next thing I know, I'm
the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast.
Welcome, Michelle Clare. I'm really glad to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, you had 3 near-death experiences. You've met angels, you've met your deceased relatives, you've met your deceased dog, and also Jesus. And you also practice mediumship. So it's a long story.
Absolutely. So when I was 12 years old, I believed in angels and saints, and my grandfather had passed away. And at that point in time, I noticed that he was still connecting to me, and I would share with my mom what he was saying, and my mom would say, "That's what you think Grandpa would say if he was still here." So I kind of learned to keep this to myself. So when we get to the year of 2000, in April of 2000, at that point in my life, I was newly married. I had my sister-in-law was in the hospital, and she was having a baby that day. So we were all at the hospital visiting. I was in the hallway talking to her RN, who happened to be my friend from high school. And during this conversation, I have a massive seizure, and I have never had one before and never had one since. But what I remember during the seizure is opening my eyes, and I was laying with my head in my grandma's lap. My grandma had passed away a few years before. She looked like the youngest, healthiest version of herself that I can remember. And she's just looking at me and smiling, almost glowing with like this beautiful, healthy glow. And I start to look around, and I realized that I was in this white room. And even though the walls seemed solid, they were alive and moving and almost breathing. So it was like every cell of these walls or every molecule was alive. And I started to feel that bliss, that timelessness, the unconditional love. And as I was just really soaking in this space, I looked, and next to my grandma was a 12-foot angel. And I remember feeling just drawn into her presence. And in my head, I thought, "What is your name?" She answered me. She said, "My name's Madeline, and I'm one of your guardian angels." And I remember being very surprised because I knew nothing about telepathic communication at this point in time. And I remember wanting to look for her feather wings because I was raised to believe they had feather wings. And as I looked for her wings, what I really saw is that they were made of light, and they almost seemed to span eternity. They moved like the aurora borealis, and they were absolutely beautiful. So here I was in this beautiful space, in no hurry to get back. And the next thing I know, I hear someone yelling, "Code, code, code." And because I was in the hospital when I had this NDE and I quit breathing, they were already calling the code team. The next thing I know, I am back in my body. So it felt like I got dropped out of a 2-story building. I went from feeling light as a feather to about 2 tons of cement. And it was just this big, almost jolt back into reality. And I remember trying to lift my arm and feeling like my arm weighed 500 pounds. So basically, that was that NDE. I was then admitted into the hospital. They never found out why I had the seizure. Like I said, I've never had another one. But what I learned about it, at that time, I didn't know the term NDE, so I just knew I had had an experience that was more vivid than my daily life. But in hindsight, I can see some of the beautiful lessons. Heaven knew I was coming, even though I didn't know. My grandma, my guardian angel, they were right there waiting for me. And it was really an opening into the angelic realm and the help and love that's available for all of us.
I've heard descriptions of this white room before. Can you describe it?
It looked solid, but yet the walls were alive and breathing and moving, is how I would describe it. And every molecule or cell in these walls was radiating this light and love from within. So there was no light hanging on a ceiling or anything like that, right? It was all the light from within. And I remember it was very soft and gentle. So like a cloud type energy, and yet very solid. And when I connected with the angel, she told me she was my guardian angel in my name. And that was just a beautiful experience to have.
Did you believe in guardian angels before?
I did.
So had you a constant communication with your guardian angel?
Now I work with her regularly. I mean, I believed I had one, but I had no idea that they were 12 feet tall and just so massive. I pictured them maybe like a 6-foot human or something like that. But being able to really feel that energy and unconditional love from her was just a gift.
What about your grandmother? Had she been dead for long before you had your experience?
Yeah, it had been a few years. So she had been gone for a couple of years. And I had had some dream visits with her between my near-death experience and her passing. But this was very much different because the near-death experiences are more vivid than real life. And I remember coming back and just thinking that it was more real than the conversation you and I are having right now.
Yeah, a lot of people describe it as being more real than real.
Yes.
So 6 years later, let's take a look at your second NDE.
Yeah. So when I got to the point of the second one, I was married and I had 3 little kids. So I had a 5-year-old, a 2.5-year-old, and my infant son who was 6 weeks old at the time. After I had him, I had a lot of complications. So I was in the hospital for about 6 weeks. Finally, they decided that they were going to do a DNC, which is a surgical procedure to clear out the uterus, and that they believed that would fix my problem, 45-minute outpatient surgery, and then I would be home. So the night before the procedure, I remember having a pit in my stomach and really thinking that I should not go through this. But I also remember thinking 45 minutes, it'll be fine. They do this all the time. So I went ahead and went the next day. And I had had anesthesia before, and whenever I've had it, it's just a blank space. It is not a dream or a memory. There's just kind of nothing that happens there. And so when I went in, I remembered counting backwards for the anesthesiologist. And the next thing I know, I'm looking over and my beautiful 102-pound white German Shepherd, who had passed away a couple years before, was walking into the operating room. And she laid her head on my gurney and just kind of looked at me and smiled like she always did. The next thing I knew, we were gone and we were on this phenomenal beach. And there were colors that we don't have here on planet Earth. I want you to think of the most HD TV you've ever seen and then multiply that by 1 billion, because that was kind of what it was like in this heavenly realm beach. And she and I were just running on this beach. And I remember looking at her. She looked like she was about 2. Her coat was thick and shiny. She was telepathically communicating with me. She was so happy that I was there. And as we were running, again, I'm seeing colors that we don't have here. I am seeing light coming from within. So when you think about looking at a tree, and sometimes the sun is right behind it, and it looks like each leaf is lighting up from within, that was what I was seeing when I was there. Every cell, every molecule, every drop of water had this light from within. And so we are running on this beach, and I start to notice we're not getting hot or tired or thirsty. And the sand felt like clouds. It didn't feel like hard beach sand. And, the funny thing about this near-death experience is that I actually will not run. I do not like running unless it's an emergency, but here I am in this heavenly realm, just going for this run on the beach with my dog. While she and I were on the beach, I could feel my son, who was 6 weeks old, and he was back at the house with my mom, calling to me because he knew I was getting ready to leave. So I remember going to him, and I remember saying, "Josh, I'm going to find a way to stay." And I did not know what to do. So I just started praying. I started saying, it's not my time. I need help. My kids still need me. And the next thing I know, I was transported back into the operating room. Jesus came in, and Jesus came in very much as my best friend. It wasn't, pray to me or confess to me or anything like that. Jesus came in as my best friend. I saw the operating room light up with this beautiful white light. And then next thing I know, I'm waking up in post-op, and my 45-minute standard procedure turned into a 3.5-hour emergency surgery because they had ruptured my uterus in multiple places and missed an artery by 1 millimeter.
When you say that Jesus came in, what do you mean? He just came through the door and started walking?
We were above, so we were looking down on the scene.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe him? How did you know he was Jesus?
Well, number one, he appeared to me in a way that I would recognize him as Jesus. So being raised Catholic, I had an idea of what he would look like, right? The version of him that I saw, there's a painting by a girl. She was a young girl when she painted it, and he had shorter hair and green eyes. I can't think of her name right now, but that was kind of the version of him that I saw. And the amount of love that you could feel from him, there was no mistake who this was.
She's the girl who is featured in the movie Heaven is Real.
Okay, that was the way that I had seen him, and it was just a knowing, because there was so much love just oozing out of him. And it wasn't even what he said or did. It's the energy. You know how sometimes in this life we get connected to people and they just feel so benevolent and so loving, and it was beyond words, the energy that he carries.
Did he say something, or he simply was there?
Yeah, so he was simply there, but it wasn't English. So a lot of communication on the other side, or when I'm doing my mediumship, is telepathic. And so what I would say is it's energy and feelings, and that's how you're translating it. And with him, it was really, like I said, this energy of coming in and being like, I'm your best friend. I'm here to help you. Let me fix this, And then I woke up. And the interesting thing was, when I went to get my records from the hospital, they were incomplete. So we don't even know exactly what happened in there.
So how was your recovery from that? And I forgot to ask you before, did you ever tell anyone about your first NDE and about your second NDE?
So my first one I shared with my mom a few weeks after it happened, and she believed me, but she just didn't know what to do with it. And I also did not know I had an NDE. I just knew I had this experience. The second one that I had, I shared with a couple people later on. And again, they had no container to put it in. They did not know what to do with it. And so it just became this extremely vivid memory that I had, that I kind of realized I couldn't share with too many people. Part of the challenge I had after this second NDE was that when they ruptured my uterus, they pushed the infection into my body. So then I was in the hospital for another week on IV antibiotics and running fevers and very sick. When I finally got out of the hospital, it took me about 4 months to get back to an 80% level of functioning.
You actually had no idea about NDEs until you had your third NDE?
I didn't even know it was an NDE when I had my third one. So it was actually after my third one when I went to counseling, and we can get to that. And my counselor said to me, these are called near-death experiences. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, you've had 3. And that was how I figured out what was happening.
Well, let's hear the third then.
Okay, the third one happened on November 1st, 2011. So for people who like numbers, that's 11/1/11. And in the house that I lived in at the time, we had 14-foot ceilings, about 12 feet off the ground. I had battery-operated candles. So once a month, I'd change the batteries, and then the candles would turn on and glow. My younger two kids were home, and at this point in time, they are 5, 8, and 10, all three of my kids. And I said to my younger two, after I put up this candle, we're going to go get your sister from school. So I start to climb up the ladder, and as I get towards the top of it, I can feel the ladder start to shift. And I remember thinking, this is gonna hurt. And the next thing I know, I am ripped out of my body. Not in a painful way, but think bungee cord fast, just jerked and turned around. I'm standing with these three people that I don't know, but they feel like family or close friends. There's an Asian man, a Hawaiian man, and an Egyptian woman. And as I'm standing with them, they said to me, what do you want to do? Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I was looking at my body and the ladder. They were suspended in the air like a freeze frame in a movie. And I remember thinking, this is so interesting, because I was back in that space of blissfulness, unconditional love, timelessness. And I remember thinking, wow, I have forever to decide what I want to do. And my body's going to hit the ground in a second. Like, it was very interesting to me to be in that timeless space. And as I was there, I saw another angel come in. And this angel that came in was not the same one from my first NDE. This was dressed in red and gold. And the moment I saw this angel, I knew it was here to either change something so that I could stay, or to take me home to the heavenly realm. And about that time, I saw my younger two kids in the kitchen. And when I saw them, I realized I wasn't done being their mom. Like, I wanted the opportunity to be here longer. And as I made this decision, I was downloaded with a lot of information, and it was like, okay, but we expect you to go back, and we expect you to do your mediumship and help people in that way. They told me my marriage would most likely end in divorce, and that I had more tragedy ahead. And I remember very clearly being in this heavenly realm and being like, okay, send me in. Like, it did not worry me at all. Even though they had painted this picture that was going to have some big challenges, I wanted the opportunity to be here. So although I don't remember pre-life planning, I remember very clearly being given those details that things were going to be hard. I come back into my body. I end up falling. I hit the back of my head on the corner of my granite island. So I have a 5.5-inch skull fracture, a brain bleed. I lose my taste, my smell, my equilibrium. But I literally survived the fall by 1/2 inch because it missed my brainstem by 1/2 inch. And that was the difference of me staying or going.
So these three beings that you saw, is that all they told you? And what did they look like?
One was an Asian man, and he looked like he was probably from 500, 600 years ago. The other was a Hawaiian man, also would have been very native. And then an Egyptian woman who looked like she was probably from, I don't know, maybe 2,000 years ago in Egypt was the energy.
Were they dressed from those time periods?
Yes, they were dressed from those time periods. So they were not all from the year 2025. But they were just very clear. What I realized later is that they were my life guides. But when I had this near-death experience, I didn't even know the term life guides or what to expect. I just knew that they felt like close family and friends. But it makes sense because they were the ones who gave me the option to stay or go.
When they told you that you had to come back to become a medium, did you ever think about becoming a medium before?
I had never thought that I would do this professionally. I mean, I knew that I had some level of spiritual connection at that point in time. And I also wasn't shown all the pieces as to how it would happen. So when I come back, I have massive physical trauma at this point. So it takes me a long time to work through a lot of my health challenges that I have from the brain injury. But later on down the road, as I'm getting these messages from loved ones in spirit, I go to a counselor because I'm like, this is crazy. What am I going to do with this? And of course, spirit led me to the perfect counselor who said, Michelle, what a gift. Let's get you a mentor. And that was kind of where I found out that these experiences were called near-death experiences. She was very pivotal in helping me put the pieces of it all together.
So you actually had to learn to be a medium?
When it first started for me, I felt like it was almost imprints. I would get an imprint of a bunch of information, but I wasn't sure how to go out and receive it, if that makes sense. And so I kind of have the term on demand. Like, I did not know how to do it on demand. Now when I'm working with clients, I know how to turn it on. And then when I'm done working, I turn the volume down. So I'm not always on, right? So there was training that was involved and a lot of trust. You have to learn to trust yourself, to trust your spirit team, to know that the information is coming through is really valid. And so what I did was I trained with some different people for quite a few years. And then I spent one whole year just telling all my friends and neighbors and people, send me anyone I don't know so I can just practice on them. It was my way of making sure I was getting accurate information. And then after that, I started doing it professionally. I work 5 or 6 days a week, so people can book with me online. I do readings almost every day. I do group parties here. I do Zoom groups. I have a YouTube channel on Mondays where I answer questions for free. And so it is my full time, and I love it.
So would you be willing to, it's not a demonstration, but could you do it now?
Yeah, I could do it now. It's a different mindset to go from interviewing to reading, but I mean, I could definitely do it for you. Because you have an older male coming in behind you very strongly. So I want to acknowledge him. He's showing me a lot of feathers. So you're going to get feathers as a sign from him. But there's also something for you that he's wanting to use with the feathers as an analogy of taking flight. So you're getting ready to bring in new endeavors in 2026 is what he's showing me, or branching out energy. And that's going to be really the next stepping stone for you, but he's giving you 2 thumbs up. So you've got this.
What about the world? Are we really entering a new age of enlightening? What do you think is coming up?
You know what? We really are. The challenge is that there are bumps in the road on getting there, right? And right now, everything that's happening in the world is meant to wake us up, and we get to make a conscious choice. Do we want to wake up and be enlightened, or do we want to stay a little bit more sleepwalking, right? We are never forced to awaken. So when we're looking at people, your soul chose to come here. So your soul came here from free will. No one is forced to be on this planet. No one is accidentally on this planet. Their souls have chosen to be here at this time, and their human side of them has free will too. So we get to choose part of our life. We don't get to choose all of it. Some of it was chosen before we came here. We chose our parents. We chose our siblings. We had some choices that we made before we came here. But now that we're here, we also get to choose. Do you want to buy into the political battles, or do you want to shine your light brighter? Do you want to choose to heal your wounding, or do you want to be wounded and hurt other people? So there are a lot of choices that people are being asked to make right now. But the overall reason that things are happening the way they are is so that humanity can step into the next highest level of itself.
You wrote a book called 101 Ways to Set Your Soul on Fire. What do you mean by setting your soul on fire?
I think that so many people forget that we are souls having a human experience, right? We get bogged down with, oh, I have to pay the mortgage, or so-and-so was talking behind my back. We get bought down into this human experience. The power that we all have within actually lies in our soul, and the ability to co-create the life that we want. It's not in the human junk and the human story. So the free will that exists for us is really when we rise above our humanness. And that is what that book is written about. It's like, let's get back in touch with the part of you that is eternal and has unlimited resources.
Do you think we are all part of God, and that there is a unique consciousness behind it all? That oneness is the real essence of reality?
I do think so. Our souls choose to come to planet Earth for the contrast, because there's experiences and things we can learn here that you don't on the other side. right? So the other side, if you are in that heavenly realm, imagining a human life, it's kind of like being in a driving simulator in high school where you're practicing driving almost like a video game. But when you get to planet Earth and you're driving in Los Angeles or New York in 5 o'clock traffic, there's a boots on the ground energy and you're getting much more of what's happening around you.
Do you think this is a school?
Oh, without a doubt. This is a school for soul expansion and exploration.
What about this metaphysical plane or astral realm in which the deceased loved ones exist? Tell us about this.
Yeah, so that is right here, right now. So think of it as a channel or a frequency. The AM station, the FM station, there are stations that are playing right now that we're not tuned into or listening to, but they're right next to us in the airwaves, right? That heavenly realm is a frequency and a vibration that is right here, right now, next to us. It's just we're not always tuned into it. So we're not connecting with the fact that our loved ones are right next to us, carrying us forward or taking the next step or cheering us on. In our human mind, we think they're far away in heaven somewhere, and we hope we get to see them again someday. But the reality of it is their vibration and their frequency is right here, right now. Think about it as energy. So when we are missing our loved one or thinking about them, it's like sending them a text or a phone call in heaven. And they're like, they feel that energy and that vibration. So they're not with us 24 hours a day, but when we need them more, when we're having a hard time, when we're thinking about them, when we're celebrating birthdays, the holidays, all of those things, our loved ones are still right there.
What about the guardian angels? Do we really have a guardian angel looking over us?
So everyone has at least one guardian angel. And most people have more than that. And what their job is really to love us and protect us through this lifetime. So we chose our guardian angel before we came into human form. We already have a personal relationship with them. But start to notice the numbers that they're sending you. Start to notice synchronicities. And start asking them in for help, like in the morning. Make it a regular habit to say, okay, angels, I know you're here. Please go ahead of me and make this day flow more smoothly.
What are your feelings regarding death, and what would you tell someone who is afraid of dying?
Well, I like to talk about my first NDE when we come up to this, because I had no idea I was going to go to heaven that day and that I was going to have that experience. But that heavenly realm knows where we are and what's going to happen. So the fact that I got there and my grandmother was holding me in her lap and my guardian angel was right there. One of the things that I love to share with this is that no one dies alone. So even if they are alone in the middle of the desert, there might not be another human there, but their family and spirit, their angels, their loved ones, they are all there with them. And so when our souls leave our body, they don't feel the trauma and the pain that we see people appear to have on the physical realm. Our souls don't have to feel that because it's not productive for them to go through that. So most people, and in all of my 3 NDEs, I can tell you, I never felt the trauma my body went through. Because I came back, I had to heal from it and go through the human side of it, right? But not in one of them did I feel pain.
What about these 3 beings you met in your third NDE? Did you find out who they were? Have you seen them? You said you communicated with them after, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I really dove deep into that over the years following, and I found out that the Asian man, his name is Chen, and he is my main life guide. And then the Egyptian woman and the Hawaiian man, I don't know their names exactly, but I know their faces and I see them. And they come in, so we all have life guides. They specialize in different things. So they remember our soul plan. They remember the lessons we wanted to learn while we were here and the things that we want to accomplish. Their job is to keep us on track because they remember the bigger picture. We come here, we have our human veil, and we kind of forget the big picture very often. So with my main life guide, his job was really to instill courage in me, to keep me moving forward, to remember the things that I wanted to do. The Hawaiian one comes in with a very healing energy. So a lot of times when I'm doing healing work on someone, that's the energy that I feel come into the room to help me. And so it just depends on where we are in our life, what guide is stepping in to help us.
I also noticed when I asked you for the demonstration, you simply said, look, you have a guy behind you, etc. I mean, you didn't really have to get into trance. This was like automatic. So it seems to be very easy for you to change from the earthly mode to interdimensional mode, right?
You know what? It is, but it's because I've been doing this for years and I've practiced and trained how to do it. In the beginning, it was not. And one of the things that I like to say about mediumship or connecting with our angels, everyone can do it for themselves, but you do have to practice. It's like going to the gym and working out. And just because you can do it for yourself doesn't mean you're going to do it for the community, right? But it's a muscle or an ability that we all have.
Okay. So, what about your husband? Because when you came back during your third NDE, you were told that your marriage was probably or could probably end.
Yeah. So they were absolutely correct about this. The things that I remember in that third NDE. So my 25-year marriage ended in divorce. As I took steps to follow the mediumship that was such a calling for me, he was very uncomfortable with that, and things just dissolved and did not go well. So that marriage came to an end. I will say, on a side note, 80% of people who have a near-death experience, their marriage ends because you can't touch heaven and come back the same person. You can't, so it's not uncommon. But then also the guides had talked about that I would go through more trauma or tragedy later on. And about 2.5 years ago, I did fall in love again after my marriage ended. And 2.5 years ago, he passed from suicide.
Wow. That was more or less recently.
Yeah.
Have you communicated with him after that? And
I have. I actually found out that he passed from him. So I knew that he had depression and he had tried medication and nothing really seemed to work for him. So there would be these periods where for a couple of days he'd turn off his phone, his computer, just go to his room, sleep through it, and then kind of come back out. And I was out of town. And I remember I was texting with him that morning and I said, I'm excited to see you. I'm ready to come home. I've had a good time. And so I got home and I had messaged him and he didn't respond. And I thought it was probably because he was with a client at that point in time. I still didn't hear from him later, sent him another message, called, text, nothing. The next morning, I messaged him again and there was no response. At this point, he lived with his daughter and his daughter wasn't ready to meet me yet. So I drove by his house and I saw that his car was there and hers was there. So I just thought, okay, I'm not going to knock on the door. He's okay. He's in, his room sleeping. And then we had a party we were supposed to go to. And he didn't obviously call or go to the party. So that night I got home from the party. I was in my bathroom getting ready for bed. And I felt him come in. And I can tell you he was wearing a blue flowered shirt, these khaki shorts. He looked at me, he said, "You sure are beautiful." And my body started to give out. Like I almost hit the floor because I knew this was mediumship. And I made it to the bed and was just hysterical. And I felt him lay next to me, put his arm over me, and he said, "I wanted to be the one that told you." And that was how I found out he had taken his life.
wow. That must have been tough.
Yeah.
But he's still alive.
Yeah.
Death is not really the end, right?
No, death is an illusion, but I think this is important for people to hear too. Even knowing what I know, having worked as a medium for years with clients and people who have loved ones who passed by suicide and understanding grief, I had no way to bypass the human grief. It is an experience that is here on planet Earth. And I don't think there's ever a day where we don't miss our loved ones in their body, because I think that's part of the human experience. But the love, the connection, and the communication does still exist. But it is different, and there's no way to bypass the human side of the story.
How can people contact you? And if they're interested in having a session from you, what type of sessions do you offer?
Yeah, so they can find me through my website, michelleclare.net. And I offer all kinds of sessions. So basically, you're just either going to book the half hour or the hour, but we can do mediumship. We can connect with your angels, your life guides, your soul plan, healing energy, medical intuition. I really see it as like the time where everyone's spirit team comes in to help them navigate life the best.
Do you have a final message for people who are watching this?
Yeah, I would just say, please know that you are all here with so much love and support around you, whether it's your loved ones in spirit, your angels, or your life guide. There is a reason for all of us to be here on this planet right now, and it's so that we can heal and share our light with other people. So none of us are walking this journey alone.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.